Hello, and welcome to Telos Corporation's video on demand for the virtual AWS Public Sector Summit. I'm Steve Horvath, Vice President of Strategy and Cloud at Telos Corporation, and I'm going to talk to you today about Xacta for FedRAMP, CMMC, and ICT supply chain risk management. I'll start by giving you a brief background on Telos and the Xacta solution. Then I'll dive into these three use cases that are highly popular topics of conversation in the realm of cybersecurity right now. They are the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, or CMMC, ICT Supply Chain Risk Management, or ICT-SCRM, and lastly, but certainly not least, the FedRAMP authorization process. Telos has been around for over 50 years, and for the last 20, we've focused on cybersecurity. Our Xacta platform is the database of record for risk management and compliance for the most security-conscious organizations in the world. While originally developed to streamline the certification and accreditation process, Xacta has evolved over the last 20-plus years into a risk and compliance solution for virtually any of today's frameworks, be it international, financial services, healthcare, or NIST-based. When we designed Xacta, understanding the culture of compliance, we chose to architect our Xacta platform in a way that allows customers to support multiple and diverse regulatory frameworks, controls, standards associated with cybersecurity. Telos has pioneered the ability for organizations and teams to dramatically reduce the burden of risk and compliance activities by testing once against the high bar and mapping those results to other regimes, thus complying with many. As a result, risk and compliance activities that historically took organizations anywhere up to 18 months to complete are being completed in 2 to 4 weeks. That is a dramatic reduction, not only in time, but also in cost and ultimately frustration for everyone involved in the process. This is achieved via a robust inheritance model and automation features, which we'll discuss in more depth shortly. Applying these time and money-saving philosophies to major frameworks for risk and compliance, such as the ATO process within the U.S. federal government, has borne out significant benefits. Today, we'll showcase how the Xacta platform can apply them to similar risk and compliance standards, like the Cybersecurity Maturity Model, certification, ICT supply chain risk management, and FedRAMP. Telos has a long-standing business and technical relationship with Amazon Web Services in the areas of security compliance, risk management, and cloud services. We're a participant in the AWS Security Automation and Orchestration Program, as well as the ATO on AWS program. We hold advanced technology and public sector partner designations and have earned proven security and government competencies. Our Xacta offering provides security compliance for the intelligence community's C2S Secure Cloud region, as well as other high-profile AWS customers. And we have multiple AWS certified personnel in business and technical areas, development and architecture for our AWS practice. These experiences and capabilities inform our ability to engineer Xacta specifically for public sector compliance in the cloud. First, let's start really with the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification. While CMMC has been a major topic of discussion for the last couple of years, it is still very much an emerging standard. The intent with CMMC is to provide the U.S. federal government with a mechanism to validate that vendors and contractors are conducting the necessary cybersecurity due diligence. Organizations that do business with the U.S. government, especially the Department of Defense, have to be compliant with CMMC at a designated maturity level that ranges from 1 to 5. That maturity level is determined by the type of work, the contract itself, the data worked on or processed in support of the U.S. federal government. Organizations that are unable to obtain compliance with CMMC or the specific maturity level are in danger of losing the ability to perform, win, or even bid on specified contracts. Telos has kept close track of the development of CMMC, and to support contractors and vendors within the defense industry base that require certification, we've built a solution within our Xacta platform. That assists with preparing for and evidencing compliance with CMMC. I'd like to briefly discuss some of the core benefits of the Xacta CMMC template. We begin by helping organizations identify the scope of their CMMC assessment. When it comes to scoping, there are many what-if scenarios to be considered. Scoping a maturity model can go well beyond the traditional system boundary you define under the RMF or even FedRAMP. The scope of a CMMC assessment can include an entire organization, a single solution, or even an entire ecosystem of defense industry base or DIB companies supporting a single contract. With that, maturity scoping goes beyond capturing the typical system data such as cloud resources, hardware, software, deployment locations. Scoping is complicated. It can be very intimidating, especially for industries where their primary business is not cybersecurity. The Xacta platform has always collected the aforementioned data, but our new CMMC offering enables the organization to capture and manage additional contextual components that contribute to the scope. For example, evidentiary data for an organization's CMMC effort, including, but not limited to, contract management, contract requirements, data shared, vendor access, subcontractor compliance, etc., is defined within the CMMC offering. For the most part, the defense industry base acknowledges the need to begin their CMMC journey. However, the Office of the Secretary of Defense and the CMMC Advisory Board have admitted that the standard is being built mid-flight. This leaves the destination a little unclear, especially for many small and medium-sized businesses. The Xacta platform provides a means to assess the maturity level required today, as well as build a roadmap to the maturity level of tomorrow. The application captures the processes and practices currently employed by the organization. Additionally, organizations that leverage the NIST Cybersecurity Framework, or CSF, get the benefit of cross-referencing the CMMC and the CSF tiers, reducing complexity in managing and understanding risk in its context organizationally. After identifying the current implementation, the application walks a company through a self-assessment of the CMMC level they intend to achieve. The official CMMC requirements are included, as well as the assessment procedures defined by the Office of the Secretary of Defense. Telos maintains this content along with other risk and compliance standards or frameworks with our Xacta platform and makes updates available when changes occur. Achieving certification for the CMMC can be a challenge for organizations. To complicate matters even further, organizations are expected to have worked off any liens, which are also referred to as POAMs, or Plan of Actions and Milestones. One of the most valuable features of the Xacta platform is our POAM management capabilities. Xacta helps organizations prepare for CMMC, as example, by documenting the current state of and prioritizing deficiencies into POAMs that can be mitigated and addressed prior to the C3PAO showing up for assessment. Leveraging Xacta's inherent capabilities, organizations can not only create POAMs, but they can assign them to stakeholders, identify funding requirements, and send automated notifications when the prescribed metrics are not achieved. As I said before, there are still many unknowns when it comes to CMMC, one of the most significant being how much the initial and recurring costs for assessments will be. Preparation is one of the only real significant cost mitigations an organization can perform prior to the assessors conducting that formal investigation. Xacta enables that preparation, allowing the organization to build the CMMC body of evidence and automate the generation of audits and documents necessary to provide compliance. Everything from capturing your business process down to your cloud resource data are captured throughout the CMMC workflow. Importantly, this shouldn't be a one-and-done activity. CMMC reports should be continuously updated to show how an organization is changing and staying ahead of supply chain and vendor risks to the U.S. government data. With Xacta, organizations are able to move away from static compliance policies and spreadsheets and actually operationalize security and compliance data. As vendors come and go and technology evolves, the compliance data is maintained, enabling features that will provide advance and past-due notifications, highlight vulnerabilities, and collect associated metrics will allow businesses to manage and maintain a near real-time view of the security and compliance program. The goal for organizations should be robust and mature operational security, informed by good risk management practices. Compliance and the CMMC certification should be a byproduct. Another important use case is information and communications technology supply chain risk management, or ICT-SCRM. SCRM is an important topic that has been foot-stomped by the information security or cybersecurity community for the last 2 decades, at least. Disruption of the ICT supply chain can come in many forms, typically targeting its confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Many organizations conduct considerable SCRM activities that are usually focused on the availability of supplies that enable their products or services. The SolarWinds compromise followed quickly by the zero-day exploits against Exchange servers are a call to action, showing cybersecurity within the software supply chain is, more often than not, a soft underbelly for most organizations and needs much more attention. Our colleagues at NIST released guidance on ICT-SCRM in April of 2015 in the form of a NIST Special Publication 800-161, and that document is currently undergoing a comprehensive update in 2021. We have incorporated the current NIST 800-161 guidance in addition to the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency CISM's SCRM Essentials into a set of Xacta SCRM templates that can be used to evaluate an organization or its vendors and suppliers. When building or managing an ICT supply chain risk management function within an organization, two important steps must be taken initially. First and foremost, a rigorous effort must be undertaken to identify and document the current state of the organization's supply chain. That data must be collected, organized, and prioritized to drive internal organizational policy about supply chain risks. This step is called FRAME within the NIST SP 800-161 terminology, and it is a crucial step to success in building the overall program as it lays the foundations for each of the important parts of risk decisions will be built upon. Once an understanding of the organization's supply chain has taken shape and policies have been established to provide guidance, an assessment needs to occur to establish a baseline. An assessment helps uncover the finer-grained details of each of the supply chains, but should be organized so that data is relevant to a given chain of command. Whereas the FRAME step was critical to setting the boundaries, ontology, risk tolerance, and priorities, the assess step takes and applies that contextual information against the specific supplies and suppliers of an organization. The assess step results in considerable data, and it is almost impossible not to get lost in the depth and breadth of information, especially if you're using spreadsheets or documents to sift through and make sense separating the wheat from the chaff. Under assess, each vendor, each part, and every supplier further down the line, up to the nth tier, should be accounted for and measured against the organization's SCRM policies, and that outcomes should be documented. While the Xacta platform helps with each step of the SCRM process, it really shines for organizations and shows immediate return on investment when conducting the assess step. Xacta allows the organization to collect the necessary information, organize it, and report on it quickly and easily. It helps individuals and teams maintain specific vendor information as well details down the system part or system software element or even library that they are responsible for within the organization's supply chain. Most importantly, with integrations Xacta has built with cloud service providers like AWS, we are able to automate the ingest of cloud data to keep security relevant information about the supply chain up to date on an ongoing basis. Xacta also helps the assessment and documentation process, automatically producing risk treatment plans as well as the risk management plan for your organization. You can manage multiple supply chains in Xacta via individual projects and associate them to other supply chains to help build and streamline your SCRM program at the enterprise level. Collecting, normalizing, and making informed decisions about an organization's supply chain risks or vendors takes a fraction of the time it would take using even with sophisticated spreadsheets, and thus considerably less costly with Xacta, leading to less overall risk. Additionally, automation further enables the ability to leverage the data from third parties, helping meaningful data stay up to date and provide insights into an organization's supply chain risk posture, from the top of the organization all the way down to the vendor or supplier level. Supply chain risk management is no small undertaking for an organization. It is complex and has many different pieces that must be accounted for. Our Xacta application for SCRM is a simplified tool that walks organizations through each step of the process, explaining the tasks that need to be conducted and the outcomes that help assure against disruptions to your supply chain. In addition to CMMC and SCRM, I'm going to close our session with a few words on our Xacta platform's FedRAMP solution. Many are notionally familiar with the FedRAMP process, in which cloud service providers obtain an authorization to sell their products as a service to agencies and organizations of the U.S. federal government. This process is predicated on the traditional approval to operate, or ATO process, and is much more difficult than most initially think. While the ATO process is based on the NIST risk management framework, it is implemented differently by each U.S. government agency based on their own idiosyncrasies. FedRAMP was intended to change that by standardizing the process itself and modifying it to focus on as-a-service solutions, whether it be infrastructure, software, or platforms as a service. The core of FedRAMP is about doing once and reuse many, which is very near and dear to our hearts at Telos. Unfortunately, there are a lot of misconceptions about the FedRAMP process, which the FedRAMP PMO has tried diligently to combat. One of the more ill-conceived notions is the perception that it is a checkbox security process that results in a hunting license to sell to the federal government. Most don't realize the considerable cost and time it takes most solutions for their providers to get through the FedRAMP PATO or ATO process. And many struggle even getting into the program, as it is demand-driven from the government's perspective. A suggestion for any organization that is contemplating the FedRAMP authorization process is to conduct the appropriate due diligence on the customer demand within the federal government. While we can and have helped organizations streamline the FedRAMP process, we often see some of the greatest holdups being a lack of agency sponsorship or prioritization in the FedRAMP Connect at the job level, primarily due to lack of customer demand. Our FedRAMP application is built around similar core tenets to other solutions. Provide a simple way of ingesting information, automate as much data collection as possible, test as much as possible, and automatically generate documentation or evidence needed for the authorization package. Additionally, the Xacta for FedRAMP application provides a major advantage in maintaining a FedRAMP authorization. Telos pioneered the concepts of ongoing authorization and continuous assessment over 15 years ago with our Xacta platform, and we've continued to evolve those capabilities. Of the 15 different documents that a CSP needs to build for their FedRAMP submission, the Xacta platform can automatically generate 13 of them. The other two being artifacts that are typically authored by the product team, the user guide and the separation of duties matrix. The Xacta FedRAMP application assists organizations in understanding the process, as well as collecting the necessary information to build the appropriate evidence in support of a FedRAMP PATO or ATO. Xacta also supports a robust inheritance model, which enables organizations to both consume or provide either fully or partially shared or hybrid controls. Inheritance can be a force multiplier and streamline the FedRAMP process when leveraging a control provider's shared controls along with their documented recommended controls implementation. This means that solutions can quickly and easily be built to take advantage of shared and fully inherited controls from providers that leverage Xacta. Using this method, we have customers that have gotten their ATO process down from 18 months to a few weeks. This effectively allows the CSP to provide their customers with a jumpstart in obtaining their own authorizations using the CSP services. An organization needs to continually evidence that they are performing the necessary updates or patches, scanning for vulnerabilities, and reviewing logs and potential threats. Xacta helps automate each of these activities and more to assist with maintaining your FedRAMP authorization. Again, getting a FedRAMP ATO or PATO is a major achievement, but keeping it is critical to success for an organization. Thanks very much for sticking with me through this video on demand session here at the virtual AWS Public Sector Summit. We at Telos are cybersecurity practitioners first and foremost, and would enjoy discussing our solutions for CMMC, SCRM, and FedRAMP in further detail if you're interested. You can visit us here at our virtual booth to learn more, or feel free to contact us on our website or via email to schedule a conversation or demonstration of our Xacta platform in action. Thanks so much for your time.